alongside with
Garrett X.
And this week we got a couple new things. Our interface, spent some time, learned how to do some little better overlays, and I think we have a good result here that you guys will enjoy. A lot easier to view and a little more,
presentable, I guess.
Presentable for you guys. So definitely, you'll be interested to see what we have next for you guys. And this week we were demonstrating and showing off Tryndamere after his recent changes in the last patch.
Yeah, he got a major rework in the last patch, so we're going to be going over what happened with him and all the different things associated with that. So, his different skills, different builds, different ways to play him, because it's definitely a different play style than the old Tryndamere. The reason for these changes as well, basically they wanted to make Tryndamere more viable at higher ELO, and that was the reasoning behind these changes. So the big thing is that he went to the Rage system, so he's going to be the second character with that Rage system. So, other than Renekton was the only one with that. Now Tryndamere is joining him with that.
Yeah. And I might have had a microphone problem there at the start, so if I was a little quiet, I apologize. This is the Institute of War, and this is episode 3. So right now we're going to jump into Tryndamere's splash page that we set up here, and we'll go over just the hero and what's new with Tryndamere. So Tryndamere, of course, we'll show off his skins and his new amazing Demon Blade.
Yeah, so he did get a legendary skin. So the rework did go in, and then shortly after that, they decided to put in a legendary skin for Tryndamere. And I gotta say, it is probably one of, if not the coolest skin in the game that they've done so far. He's got a full, new voiceover as well as particle animations and stuff like that.
Yeah,
so,
animation, voiceover, everything. The look, he's just.
And for those of you that know Soul Calibur, so the Demon Blade thing looks very similar to that, and that's where it comes from. So there's a little bit of a quote-unquote rip-off from that, but it looks absolutely amazing. So
it's pretty cool. It's probably one of my favorite skins, but the hero, I don't know. And let's get into his abilities. So they're very similar to before, but after the changes, they take a little bit of a rework. But his Q, Bloodlust. I guess, it's very similar to what it was before, but...
why don't we go over what he did before? Well, let's go over each of those moves.
Yeah,
we can kind of
discuss that. And
so what happened with Bloodlust before is you would get stacks, and you would get up to 8 stacks, and each of those stacks would allow you to heal for a certain amount, as well as increase your critical strike rate. Yeah. So, the more crits that you were doing, the more stacks you were getting, and the more healing that you could do. So that's how that worked before. Now that he's in a Rage system, basically it works, he gets bonus attack damage for each 1% of health he is missing, and
exactly. And with the passive on Bloodlust, it permanently grants you attack damage, and
it also gives you a little bit of crit strike. So crit strike is still an important factor to Tryndamere, and that was his biggest, central point around Tryndamere is the critical strike, that RNG factor.
Yeah. So it's personally I think it's an okay the rework on Bloodlust, but. The stacks before were a little too strong, I think, so they had to... it's a hit or miss, because some people really like the new Tryndamere now, but then again, before he was fantastic as well, I personally think, and...
I think their biggest thing that they talked about, and they've actually admitted this, is they didn't want to have Tryndamere do his rework and come extremely overpowered out the gate. Yeah. They kind of wanted to assess his change over to the Rage system and then make changes as needed. And 2 of those changes that they've already admitted to that they're going to be changing is they're going to be increasing the heal on Bloodlust. Now, the big thing there is it went from, at max level, to heal from 400 hit points down to 300. And that is a very, very noticeable difference. And one of those big noticeable differences is Tryndamere, you'll often see him using his R, which is Undying Rage, and he'll basically go in to a tower and basically, go down to 1 health.
Yeah, keeping him alive at 1 health with his tower.
And then spin out of there.
As the last tower hit usually came before the rework, you can get out of there just with Bloodlust alone healing you. It would give you enough health to take that tower hit and survive and get out with very little health. Now it's a little different. To survive a tower hit, and with your 1 health, you want to get 1 more auto attack in if you didn't kill someone, or you need to just attack a creep almost, or pop a the tower kills you now if you don't
if you're not careful. Like I said, you're definitely cutting it a lot closer. Your timing has to be all that much better with Tryndamere, and it definitely increases his skill cap a little bit when you're diving at towers with his ultimate. So
you're noticing a lot more Tryndamere deaths lately, so
for sure. So it's definitely a good thing that they're going to be increasing that in the next patch. I don't know what the exact number is. They haven't said that yet, but just the fact that they are going to be increasing that over 300 is going to make a difference. So his Mocking Shout, there's no change there. What they did do, though, is they removed the health cost on all his abilities. So all of Tryndamere's abilities are free.
It's free.
So it's just like Renekton, so he can use his abilities whenever.
And builds rage from attacking, and I believe his abilities.
His abilities, his Spinning Slash grants him rage as well.
And Mocking Shout, like you said, if you don't know what Mocking Shout is, it's his W, and basically decreases the surrounding enemies' attack damage if they're facing you. If they're facing away, it decreases their movement speed for 4 seconds.
Well, they also get that decreased attack damage as well. So that's global. That'll happen all around.
That's right.
And then if they're turning their back to you, that's when you see them kind of get Tryndamere. That little chicken pops up over their head, and then he's able to chase you down.
And our E ability is Spinning Slash, and Garrett can go over this one.
Now, this is an interesting ability. So previously it was based on AP, and they haven't changed that going to the new Fury system. So it's still based on AP, but the interesting thing that they've done with the rework is that it's based on AP, but it does physical damage. Now, the unfortunate thing is it doesn't do that much damage, so it is kind of a worthless ability. It's still kind of just used as his blink.
Yeah, it's his gap closer, it's his ability to escape or get into combat. So it's kind of useless, but it's not. Like it grants so much more movability, and like if Tryndamere did not have that, gap closer or just the ability to move faster, he would die. He would not be able to escape ganks. He would not be able to get at tower ranges. It's very crucial, this move, but it's very weak in terms of laying out damage. You're really relying heavily on you keeping your bloodlust up and your auto attacks. It's very important.
Yeah, well, Tryndamere is one of the most right-click dependent heroes in the game. And, it just makes you... also, the other nice thing is that combined with his R, his Undying Rage, it also allows him to be the biggest glass cannon in the game. And, that move right there alone allows for that.
Yep. Undying Rage basically allows you to stay alive for, 5 seconds?
Yep, 5 seconds.
5 seconds. You can go down to 1 HP and it'll keep you alive. However, your heal is only 300 now. So if you're relying on your heal to keep you up and you're taking an additional hit, like as you're spinning away, that attack will follow. Let's say an Annie tried to hit you with, Disintegrate. That's going to kill you. Or if someone has Ignite on you, your heal's going to be for 150 now.
Yeah.
So you have to be very careful with Undying Rage and using your Bloodlust to get your health back up to 300. I think is at max rage.
Yep. Yeah. At max rage. Yeah.
So, and you rely on them. So. You have to have a max rage to use your Bloodlust. But when you're diving in, you should be at max rage. It should be no issue.
Yeah. Well, the other nice thing I guess they did with Undying Rage is that when you use your R, it grants you 75 rage automatically. So the other thing that you can do is if you're going for a gank and you're not going to be dipping below and it's pretty much like a 3-on-1, you can activate your Undying Rage early and get that 75 rage, so you get that bonus physical damage and crit damage. So you can come in there and be even more of a wrecking force. It's definitely, like I said, it's not recommended.
Though. It's a definitely different strategy. You have to work it because they might pop all their moves early on. You thinking that it wasn't on, maybe just pop it just as you see the abilities about to hit you, and that saves you. Basically, it's a free Banshee's Veil almost. Like it depends how you use it. It's a great move, and
it's very situational. Like I said, it's one of those things where you can use it in that manner, and the skill cap I think for Tryndamere has gone up significantly. Opposed to the previous build of Tryndamere.
Yeah. And one thing we missed at the start, we usually talk about it first, is the passive ability, which is Battle Fury for Tryndamere.
Yeah.
And Tryndamere receives, I think it's critical strike chance per Fury, and I'm not sure the number. I think it's around like 0.35.
Yeah, it's 0.35, I think.
Fury,
yeah. Or actually, sorry, I think...
Yeah, it's 0.35. It is.
Yep.
After the rework, it's 0.35. Yeah. And so alongside with your Bloodlust and Battle Fury, when you're at the max Fury, it's you're critting, or you're at like 100% mid game, late game, so it's fantastic. So let's just hop into, I guess, that was a little bit of his abilities. We played Tryndamere in 2 different ways. Our favorite is lane, of course, and as a jungle. So we'll go over the lane first, and then we can kind of demonstrate what we talk about with the jungle.
Definitely. And the other thing that they did with the rework, in addition to making him more, or supposed to be more viable at high yellow, is to make him a better laner, to make him kind of a top solo, tanky DPS type of laner. So they did give him a higher base health percentage. So he does get more health, in general. So he is a little bit more tanky, which allows you to kind of build him like a tanky DPS character, but then also go into glass cannon type of items and then still be viable. So that's the kind of cool thing about that. And, we have some great footage later where we'll show you how he can really dominate in the lane now with the Fury system.
Yeah, and Garrett Light starting off in the lane, as you can see in the item builds here. So he goes with the Boots of Speed first and grabs 3 potions just to keep him in the lane. And you're not relying on any mana here, and you just want to stay in that lane as long as possible at the start and last it as much as you can. And even if you can get an opening kill, great. But survivability in the lane is just keeping on the lane until you can get that CS to go back and get your first purchase of either, depending on how the game's going, a BF sword, maybe go right to your Berserker Greaves, pop into a Zeal. It just depends how you're feeling it. But your main objectives are to get that Black Cleaver early on. So it's a really good ability. Really good item. That allows you to reduce their armor for every additional hit that you're hitting them with. So
So the other thing to remember here is that in addition to crit being a huge factor to Tryndamere, of course, still is that attack speed is now also going to be a little bit more important than before, because the more attacks you get, the more fury you're going to be generating.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a little because of the rework, of course.
Yeah.
So that's why when we get into our runes, we'll kind of discuss what we do for our runes as well. Having that attack speed from the Zeal and eventually into Phantom Dancer is really going to help. And as your Berserker Greaves grant you, I'm not sure, I think it's like Berserker Greaves
25%.
25%. So, you really want those attacks, and having that extra base damage from the, what's it called? Black Cleaver, you're reducing the armor more quicker, and you're doing more damage. So it's a really good build. It's very glass cannon, and honestly, personally, I really love Guardian Angel. As we see both builds, it's a must item on Tryndamere. You have to get this item end game. You really want to, because
I think when you're
you can go all the way in, dive in. You don't even have to pop your Endless Rage if you want. I mean, Undying Fury Rage. You can just save it for
when you come up
again, or vice versa. So it's a crucial item that lets you just keep doing damage, because you're not relying on any mana. Your health pool comes back up pretty high. Popping your Bloodlust, after before you die, or even saving it after. Or no, you can't save it after, because your stacks to save. I'm not sure. I forgot about that actually.
Your rage does stay. So
rage, so there you go. So it's fantastic.
I believe so. So
it's a crucial item, I honestly think. And I guess before we jump into the jungle here, we'll go over our masteries, and then we'll talk about our runes.
Sure. So the masteries that I went. It's pretty standard across the board for Tryndamere. Nothing too much has changed between the previous version of Tryndamere and the rework. So you still want to go 2109. I find is very, very strong. Picking up the critical strike and improved exhaust, so it's pretty good. As well as getting that extra crit damage and whatnot. So that's pretty standard. There's not too much changes you want to get there. And then of course in utility you're going to opt for the extra buff damage, the buff duration.
Sorry, which one are you talking about here? I was kind of looking at something else.
In utility. So.
Yes. That's the duration of your neutral creep buffs.
Yeah,
so that's from Red Golem, Blue Golem, and of course Baron.
Yeah. Well, and Blue Golem is not too important for Tryndamere, but Red is definitely something that you're going to want to be picking up. So pretty much after you get your Black Cleaver, you're going to want to be sucking up that red buff most of the time, because more times than not, when you're playing Tryndamere in a team composition, you're going to be that hard AD carry.
Yeah.
And that red just makes him such a huge force, because as soon as you get that on him, between his W and the red buff, you aren't getting away from Tryndamere, and most likely he's going to be landing that kill on you.
And for those who don't know, red buff is a buff that one of the champions get that actually increases your attack damage and also slows the enemy player.
Yeah, so it puts a little bit of a dot on it.
It really helps. And I would like to note that if you're really playing, Tryndamere, if you're not starting him in the jungle, help get the blue, but give the blue to one of your AP carries or someone that needs it, because if you're taking it, it's just the loss of a buff.
He really doesn't need it. He's got the CDR reduction, but he doesn't need that either. So
his cooldowns are really quick to begin
giving
with.
Giving it to your mid AP, usually because your mid is going to be AP, giving it to him is going to be a huge benefit to him. And as long as he doesn't die giving it up to the other team, he's going to be pretty far ahead.
Yeah. So let's talk about our runes and what we use for the laning phase.
So pretty standard tanky DPS runes. I got, armor seals, MR per level glyphs,